Hello everyone and welcome to Suffolk Business Life. With me today is Alex Till, who's the Chief Executive of MENTA. Thanks very much for coming on the show.
That's right, Craig, no problem.
Could you start off by telling me and the viewers a little bit about what MENTA is and what it does?
Yeah, sure, Craig. MENTA has been established for 27 years now. Mm-hmm. It's a not-for-profit organisation, although it's limited by guarantee. And it basically offers one-to-one advice, support and guidance for anybody who's looking at establishing a business, new startup, an emerging business, or even we do offer the opportunity for those who may have been established for a period of time but are looking at growth potential for their businesses. We offer this, it's fully funded, as we say at the moment in time, so we look for funding anywhere. And the opportunity which we offer is that we look at growing businesses across the whole of Suffolk, and what we try and do is give them the best opportunity they can do, and that will be through subsidised workshops, one-to-one training sessions as well, business planning advice, and we have what we call Coffee Means Business as well, which is a fantastic networking event which we hold in Kesgrave and in Haverhill at this moment in time. There's plans to expand it, where we get maybe 75 to 80 businesses attend. They pay £2, they come, they network, they get some good added value information for their business, and it grows their business.
My wife in her own business has actually attended the Kesgrave one a few times.
Oh,
she really likes it, yeah, and it's very, very convenient day for her with kids and various other bits.
Exactly.
But, in terms of, so would MENTA sit as, do you act as kind of an advisory board or a guide for businesses, or is it a case that MENTA gets as involved with the business owner as much as they want? Is it, how do you put on courses and people attend, or is there the facility there for someone that may be struggling a bit to say, I need some help? Can someone from MENTA come in and help out? Is it that, or is it more the course bias?
We do a mix of both, if I'm honest with you, Craig. We have those individuals who are very, very new to business, and they need a lot of hand-holding and they need a lot of support. So what we do is we go through them, we ask them what their initial idea is, we give them guidance on it, because sometimes the idea may be fantastic, but it may not be a profitable venture. And then we look at how they're going to fund it. We look at over what time scale, and we also look at how they're going to achieve that and what skills they may or may not have. Interestingly, in some partnerships, there may be a husband and wife venture. One may be great at finances, the other may be great at marketing, but have they run a business before? Maybe not. So we try and offer a bespoke service to those people. What we also do is we do offer training workshops, and once again, they're open to all. They are subsidised to a significant rate, so if people want to come along, they may be paying between, some of them are free, fully funded, and some are £50, and we try to keep that as a maximum amount.
What sort of courses is it you guys tend to put on then?
Well, we'll put on a range of things. Some will be focusing on the very basic business needs, so looking at how you start a business, so it could be business ideas seminar, it could be business planning, it could be financial planning, and then we do those others which are how to negotiate, looking at greater sales, and looking at those opportunities for businesses that may have taken on staff, which then need to be developed, but in a cost-effective manner.
Do you, do you put on courses in terms of things like finance and sort of bookkeeping or anything like that?
Yes,
for SMEs?
yeah, we do that, and it's interesting because Sage, which is a very well-known software package for accountancy, have just approached us to look at their new package, which is called Sage One, which they're trying to promote and see how we can integrate that with those people who are looking at starting their business. We also do the very basic ones, whereby if you just want to do a ledger and put it in a paper hard copy, we can show people the very, very basics of how to manage your finances.
In terms of your day job, are you an employee of MENTA, or are you full-time, or do you do anything in your day job life?
I am a full-time employee of MENTA. I took on the role knowing that I wanted to drive the business forward. It's an interesting one. I used to contract with MENTA to deliver services through organisations like Business Link, which has now changed, and the East of England Development Agency. And I felt that with those changes, we needed to look at the drive and enthusiasm through MENTA and to look at new opportunities, because we can't be reliant upon public sector funding, so we need to look at the private sector and the commercial way in which we can sustain ourselves for another 27 years.
So as an organisation, you have previously, which is where the subsidies come in, you have had support from the government to enable you to offer the cheaper course.
That's right, that's right. What we do now is we look at how we work closely in some instances with local authorities, because they've got a big economic growth agenda, but I also look at national organisations, so organisations such as PayPal, eBay, and look at where they're trying to drive their customer base forward, and then look at how we can engage with them to look at local delivery. So very much a national focus, but with local delivery, so that in Suffolk we can benefit from it significantly.
What would you say, if anything springs to mind, has been the crowning achievement of MENTA as an organisation? You know, is there any real big wins that you've had and you thought, yeah, actually that's great, we've done that?
I think MENTA's had a number of incremental growth opportunities. We own our own premises because we offer managed workspace as well,
Okay.
which for us was quite significant, because being funded through local authorities for a period of time, they would offer us a great opportunity to use their premises, which was great. What we were always looking at was how we could actually maintain ourselves and become an organisation that actually was true to its word, that if you want to grow businesses, here's a facility, it's managed, it's easy in, easy out opportunities for those people who are establishing their business. So we've purchased our premises in Easton Way in Bury St Edmunds. It's currently full. We've got over 20 tenants, and interestingly, we have a long waiting list as well. And as I say, we have other premises in Haverhill, which once again are actually increasing significantly in the number of people who are.
So would it be right in saying you guys can potentially offer almost like an incubator service to a start-up business?
Without a doubt.
The guidance, the framework's there as much or as little as someone would want?
That's right. And in some instances, recently we had a young fellow who's 23. He decided he didn't want to do his low-skilled, low-paid job over in Haverhill, and he's just set up a company called Mend My Eye. And literally as we speak, he mends iPhones and iPads, and he's at the Gadget Show. And within the last 5 months, he's established his business. He's now got some significant investment from a private sector financer, and he's doing significantly well. And he's amazed at the way in which his business has grown and the promotion that he's got. Also was in GQ magazine, which for him was a significant achievement.
Yeah. 23. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So Ricky at Mend My Eye is an absolutely fantastic, there's a plug, fantastic for his business, and I wish him all the success. So we grow a lot of small businesses.
Something like that, though, there's clearly a defined market for it. You know, the age generation of business owners now seems to be reducing a lot.
That's right.
And it seems so much easier now to start a business. You know, I remember back when I was 21, you know, I'd never think of doing it, you know, but it seems to be that the opportunities, there's much more opportunity out there for people, and the information with the help of the internet and stuff is that much easier for people to access now. That
I agree.
People feel more confident making that step into it.
And I think it's very, very interesting that many years ago you'd be talking about import and export and international trade. Most people are trading internationally through eBay. Yeah. And to them, they don't see any different. It's just someone from a different country who they're sending a product to or they're buying from. The access is significant, and this is where some of the marketplace is actually growing, and people are able to experiment in a very cost-effective manner. So I think you're right.
It is, and you know, I mean, something I was sort of alluding to in the conversation earlier is that you can almost be trading out your back bedroom, but you know, HSBC have done an advert on it. Essentially, the world of business is getting smaller.
It is indeed.
It's the international boundaries and barriers aren't there before. I remember my own company when we first started looking at international stuff. We were quite nervous and quite hesitant of it, but we found out we could do it. So the world is certainly changing, and technology is playing a big part of that. And if you remember repairing iPhones and you know, and iPads, then once it's out of warranty, you're stuck. Where do you go? You know, what do you do, sort of thing? Because places like Apple and that are going to charge an absolute fortune, I imagine, to do ex-warranty work, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, with MENTA as an organisation, is it purely geared towards small business, the SME market, or do you have an offering for the larger businesses?
At this moment in time, it's geared around the SME market. We're mindful that there are other organisations and other consultancies which will work directly with larger businesses.
IoT and stuff.
Exactly.
Like that, yeah.
We work very, very closely with the Chamber of Commerce. We have a concordat. So we work with small organisations. We look at how we can grow them, and then we look at where the opportunities lie with the Chamber of Commerce as well, so that they can actually have a journey of growth and improvement. Do we have other offerings coming on board? Yes, most certainly.
Yeah, okay.
One of my opportunities for MENTA is to actually look at where there have been organisations which have been established for maybe 4 years and are now looking for growth potential. We're going to be saying, how can we do that? Where are the opportunities? Where can we bring other resources, other training programs, other developmental programs into the county to look at how that can be established from other good practice areas of the country. So it's going to be quite an interesting time.
As an organisation, I mean, does MENTA itself, is it a local thing, a national thing, you know, and is your remit local or national?
MENTA is purely Suffolk based, and I want it to be purely Suffolk based.
Okay.
There's a number of organisations who offer similar services, but they have gone very much out of county. MENTA is purely within Suffolk. It's not a franchise model. I'm not looking at it becoming a franchise model. What I want to do is for when people want to look at how they want to establish a business, whether that be retail, whether it be service sector, whether they're even starting from their bedroom, that they contact us to look at how they can take their business forward. That then enables us to have a very good grounding in terms of looking at the local SME market, and we can start identifying where new business is starting, what markets they're in, and also what industry sectors, because I think it's very, very important at the moment. One thing which I find quite interesting is when people report statistics in terms of the new businesses started, that's VAT registrations. It's not actually looking at new businesses established. So for me, that's quite fundamental. So for the county, I'm looking at how we can capture that data.
What sort of, retail, I remember, as a young lad around sort of Ipswich and Felixstowe. I mean, Felixstowe High Street doesn't seem so bad, but Ipswich High Street seems to have, really sort of wound down quite some bit over the time. Any thoughts yourself on sort of, the regeneration projects that people are talking about in and around Suffolk for re-establishing and reaffirming high streets?
It's quite interesting. A number of the Mary Portas applications which have been submitted are looking at precisely that point. How can we reinvigorate? How can we establish? How can we look at maybe non-chain stores coming back into the high street and adding that little bit of flavour and getting people to come there, so we increase the number of footfall as well. I think it's very interesting. Felixstowe, and I used it as an example quite recently, has actually, you'll see the increase in terms of local sort of cafeterias where people can go, like the Oaks, and then you've got other chains which are there as well. But they're still very, very much buoyant in terms of the one-to-one relationships. You've got the new bakers, which is established, the fishmongers. So things for me are going back to a traditional environment. You can notice it across the county in other areas as well, where you build that human relationship. It enables to establish it. Do I think there's an issue at the moment with the high street? Yeah, I think we've got to look at business rates. Sometimes it's down to the square footage in terms of how the business is established. It may be worth looking at how that could be taken into consideration, and this is something we're lobbying the government at the moment, in terms of looking at the way in which businesses grow, and as they grow, it may be that you look at how it's associated around that rather than by square footage.
Does MENTA as an organisation get involved in lobbying governments? Or is it something you do, professionally? I mean, Is that something you're involved in yourself, is it?
One of the things we try to do quite actively is work through local enterprise partnerships. So MENTA will work very, very closely with those organisations which will represent their views and their opinions directly into governments. So yes, we actively put forward many of the suggestions of the small businesses we work with, and that's across the county. If we need to specify it to a particular locality, then we can do that as well. Not only do we raise it at governmental level, we'll also raise it with local authorities. So if there's a particular need or there's a particular issue which we feel is becoming quite strong within sort of like the SME target area, we'll raise it and see how we may be able to sort of put some weight behind it from the voice of business.
As a business person in your own right, I mean, do you see any, as opposed to 12 months ago? I mean, we had, the recession was here and strong and everything else, and it was generally a tough time for most people in business in the local area, and indeed nationally or globally. But my personal perception is the tide is starting to turn now. Most of the people that I'm talking to as a barometer around me seem to be, order books are starting to fill up, confidence is starting to return. Yes, the banks aren't as quick to lend and stuff like that, but in many cases there are good reason why they aren't lending to business, because the business isn't solvent enough. But is MENTA and you as an individual sort of seeing that sort of confidence starting to return locally to businesses that work with you?
What's been interesting is over the period where everyone's been talking about the recession, we've seen more people come forward to look at how they can start a business. They're looking at significant opportunities. They're looking at how they may have driven a hobby passion into a business now. And are they succeeding? Yes, they are. Are they aware of what's going to happen for the future? No, because none of us are. But I would say that cusp has definitely been come over. And yeah, there's growth. There's growth beginning.
Personally, my own feeling is I think all the really bad axing that needed to be done, a lot of it has been done now, and the economy has started to settle and find a bit of confidence. Obviously there's the talk whether Spain's going to make everyone jittery again, which it probably will. But I think we are probably over the worst of it now. That's what I see, and I notice it with my own businesses as well. The sort of more clients are quicker, and for us, because one of my businesses is recruitment, you tend to be quite a good yardstick for what the economy's doing. When it's busy, people want more staff in, and then you'll have a period where it might go quiet for a few months, and then they'd like to get staff off their balance sheets because they're a big resource and a drain on finance. With sort of future developments for MENTA, I mean, as I understand, you're not a membership organisation. Any plans afoot to do anything particularly unusual with the organisation? Any future innovations that you're looking at that you want to kind of give voice to at all at the moment, or
interestingly, one of the things we are doing is the business festival over in Bury St Edmunds. MENTA has a trade fair there. And we highlight that, we open the events, we get a guest speaker, we talk about new business, new innovation, new ideas. And one of the interesting areas I'm looking at towards the end of the week, and it's a 10-day event, is the Alternative Business Festival. One of the things I'm trying to title it as is it's those businesses your careers advisor wouldn't talk to you about. Okay. Now, a lot of people laugh about this and say, oh, here we go, Alex, it's another one of your weird and wacky ideas. What I find is a lot of young people, and me included when we were going through careers advice and things like that, you'd be setting your standard jobs, this is what you could do, this is how you can take it forward. I want to look at the range of industries we're working with and those which are predominant to Suffolk. And interestingly, there's a young fellow called Adam Perry. He's done gigs with the Chili Peppers and a whole range of other things, and he writes music for Cher and Busted and those. And we're looking at an event called Doors Open at 7, and it'll be all associated around the music industry.
It'll be stuff, yeah.
Exactly, and it'll be looking at how you do the distribution of flyers, who does all the artwork, who does the digital media, and then it will look at all the associated industries. So there may be tattooists there may be hairdressers, there may be massage in terms of making sure that the people who are going to do the gigs are ready, but it's all about looking at the skills and the employment opportunities for those young people. And as we said earlier, it's a very different marketplace. You don't need to know Polydor to get records and air coverage. So this is where we're going to be integrating some of the music industry. So it's going to be fantastic.
See, this funny thing with this, come back to business, I mean, people used to make money doing those jobs beforehand and still have and always will. But right. It's that kind of courage and conviction to, I really want to go and do this.
Exactly.
And versus what, perhaps olden day, I remember my own career's advice, it was, you be a civil engineer, go into, be a motor trade, an accountant or, a solicitor or something like that. It's because, again, in recruitment, we see people come from all sorts of different walks of life. Are you seeing amongst your members anything come up that's particularly a common reoccurring trend, amongst members, amongst businesses that you deal with through MENTA? Are you seeing any new trends starting to come up and become common, or is it still seen very much business as usual?
Well, historically, you used to see a lot of people coming in, they'd be looking at the skills that they had, which was available. So you may be getting hairdressers starting up on mobile rounds, you may be getting nail technicians, you may be getting guys who are motor mechanics. Yeah. The interesting one, which I'm seeing at the moment, is there's a lot of people who are looking at salvage. So all of a sudden the price of metal and everything else the price of metal is going up, so you're seeing a number of people saying, do you know what, I need to get a tow truck, I can bring cars in, we can actually look at where we can make money from. So that's an interesting one for me. The big area for growth for me at the moment are the young people who are looking at digital creative industries. So they'll be looking at the music, they'll be looking at their app creation, and what's interesting for me is they're also looking at how they can offer their freelance potential to existing business. So where you may have someone who is, and I'll term it old school in terms of their approach to business, the young person's coming in and saying, I can actually get you integrated into a much different marketplace.
Plug you into a new audience.
That's right, and if we can increase your bottom line benefit and we can get some revenue, then why don't you take us on? And they're being quite bullish with it as well, so I find that quite an interesting marketplace to be in at the minute.
Well, I know MENTA has got some tie-in sort of on the Suffolk Business Exhibition with ISBA, Ipswich Suffolk Small Business Association.
That's correct.
How, because you're sponsor, you're basically having a specific part of it for new launches, is it?
That's,
Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we were approached by ISBA to look at their event, and in association with the Chamber of Commerce, we thought it would be absolutely fantastic. So you could have one area which was focused purely on those businesses which were under 2 years old, and then we could look at how they were interacting with those already established businesses. For me, the dynamic would be significant because there's a lot of sharing of good practice, looking at continuous improvement, and do you know what? Sometimes it's nice to be able to show what you're doing as a new business in a very cost-effective manner. Because sometimes if you wanted to go down to London, a trade stand would be £2,000, £3,000, £4,000. But hey, ISBA, it's about Suffolk, it's about growing business, it's about looking at what you can offer and where we're situated.
There are opportunities out there. I think that's the thing with the economy. You can sit there and think the media bombards you with the economy's terrible, it's awful, it's, and you can sit and shrink in your shell with that, or you can say, well, actually no, I'm going to do something about this. Yeah. And there are, again, myself, I see an opportunity in a recession to start another business as well. But with sort of your own experience with business, knowing yourself, I like to sort of chuck out these random questions, knowing yourself for argument's sake, 10 years ago, you know, or early out in your career? What bit of advice would you, Alex, now give you, Alex, of then?
Okay, the thing for me now is, okay, Alex, is that there's a number of people out there who know me, so they'll probably say, you crazy guy. It would be, make sure that you have a plan, not necessarily a rigid plan which you have to adhere to. You've got to understand what you're trying to achieve. You've got to understand the timescale you're trying to achieve it in. And if you know where you're going to position yourself and what your marketplace is, that you'll be able to drive your business forward. Be true to it, be honest to it, and if things do change as you go along that journey, don't see it as a stumbling block. Take it as an opportunity to maybe rethink where you're positioning yourself and keep driving for it. But always have the dream of what the goal was that you originally intended. I think a lot of people try something, and because it becomes a little bit difficult, then they give up on it. Being self-employed, having your own business, it's not an easy job.
No.
It's not going to
be quite lonely as well.
It can be very lonely.
If you're not able to get out there, and I think one area I often see with people that I know is a skill set that I've helped people out with is kind of almost asking for advice, or you know, going to someone and saying, look, actually, I've got a bit of a problem. What do you think about this? People can have a feeling of acknowledging failure by asking for a bit of assistance. But I suppose organisations like ISBA, you know, sort of the LEP, you know, the Chamber, yourselves and stuff like that, there are ample opportunities out there for people to get in touch with these organisations, and I tend to find you get out of it what you put in.
Yes.
Without a shadow of a doubt. If you turn up and think, I've got a business, it's having a bit of a wobble, I'll pay a membership, or I'll attend a course, or I'll go and speak to someone. If you don't do something with that advice that's imparted on you, you either shouldn't have asked for it in the first place, or, you know, kind of life, you get out of it what you put in. And with your sort of business head and stuff, and where you'd like to take things, do you find doing sort of, I know you sort of had experience of business elsewhere, do you find there's anything, the show ultimately, Suffolk Business Life, is about doing business and owning a business locally. Sure. Is there any little things for you that sum up that perhaps make Suffolk different or unique to Suffolk, or some little thing that you particularly find, that's very much a Suffolk business related thing?
I think Suffolk's interesting because what I've found is that although you may be operating in Suffolk, your business, and you enjoy the lifestyle and you enjoy everything about it, that you're not operating in the microcosm of Suffolk. Interestingly, I was speaking to a fellow in Halesworth, and this guy ran Newcastle Arts Centre, and he said, everybody in here is all associated with the arts. I said, okay, let me bang on the door. So I banged on the door and said, can you tell me about your business? And this fellow there said to me, yeah, I manage pig farms in Texas, and I do it all through the internet. That for me is sums Suffolk up. Yeah, sums Suffolk up. What you've got is a range of different organisations, all doing very good business, all situated in a place which is pretty idyllic, let's be honest about it, but their mindset isn't local. They're looking at how they can build money from other opportunities. And if I think that we need to take that forward, it's to say to other small businesses, don't just position yourself with where you are based, look at the marketplace that's around you. And as we said earlier, there's a global marketplace there. Look at how you want to develop yourself, and I think you'll reach success.
I think a good thing with organisations such as yourselves, you know, and sort of the others that essentially support and endemic organisations that help small businesses, people like yourself, you know, Roger Bartram at ISBA, would be quite well placed to sort of potentially put people in touch with each other, you know, and sort of say, look, actually you're doing this. Yeah. Do you know what? With a bit of a crazy idea here, but these people are doing this, and there could be some collaborative, and ultimately money. It's bottom line. Businesses need to survive, you know. And I think if you've got a few quid in your bank account, the banks are then that much more respondent to help you with funding if you want to push it on to the next stage.
Well, what's quite interesting, Craig, is I look at a range of different businesses, and some you can see are capital rich in terms of property assets and cash poor, and others are cash rich and capital poor. Those for me are great opportunities to say, do you know what, you guys are doing similar sort of work. Yeah, you're looking at niche markets, let's put it together. You can be rich in many different ways. And it is interesting, what I'm finding as well is you've got a lot of young businesses, a lot of young talent, a lot of well-positioned early stage organisations who need a small injection of capital. Within Suffolk, there are a number of individuals who are looking at where they can position their funds to actively develop organisations. Yes, there'll be a return on it, but what they want to do is offer their support and their advice and their knowledge. And you're finding a lot of significantly senior business people are saying, leapfrog the issues that I had. I'll take you on a journey. And for me, that's fantastic. And once again, it's about putting people into touch with each other. It's that connectivity, which is paramount.
Do you sort of find that sort of edicts, the changes in the budgets and all sorts of things like that, does that impact on EDA much as an organisation, or is it a case that you try and see through some of the jargon that comes out from local government and try and translate it into layman's terms for businesses? I know from my own point of view, trying to do, for argument's sake, public sector tenders, bugbear for a lot of people is hard work.
Yes.
And personally, I've taken a view that I probably won't do it again because
Sure.
I found it was all one-way traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that as an organisation you can start to bridge some of those gaps with trying to people to get their head around how public sector works and to win public sector?
Yeah, sure. And I mean, if I'm honest, we have a lot of engagement with the public sector. A lot of the local authorities say to us, we're trying to engage with small and medium-sized organisations within the county. Can you put us in touch with some? And I find that quite an interesting dynamic because they should be aware of who's out there and what's happening. Yeah. But yes, we can broker that. We can also give advice to those businesses that maybe want to take on public sector tender opportunities and say to them,
bid writing is an art.
Bid writing is an art in itself, and unknown to some small businesses, the local authorities do have a resource to assist businesses to do that, which is quite an interesting point. But yes, they're there to facilitate you. It doesn't always seem like that. MENTA can act as a conduit. They can put you in touch. Would they write the bids and the applications? Not necessarily something that they will be getting involved with. It is a resource issue.
Okay, well, sort of anything else that you'd like to sort of make viewers aware of that MENTA are involved in, or any other projects or anything else that?
Sure. What I'd like to say is, if you want to go onto the MENTA website, www.menta.org.uk, there's a whole range of different funding opportunities on that site. It could be for new businesses which are being established. It could be looking at those which have already been I'm losing the website.
Did you actually say there is funding available?
There is funding available, Craig. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, have a look, and there's a number of opportunities on there. You can all access it.
Because I remember, just quickly myself, when I first started, I remember trying to access funding was impossible.
Sure.
And particularly with the economy, and hearing that public sector purses, funding and stuff is starting to reduce. It must be hugely encouraging to viewers to actually hear, what there is, as of today, there is actually some.
There is funding out there. And what you'll find is it's from a number of private sector organisations which may want to become involved with it. Innocent Foods, who do the drinks and the smoothies, they've recently put forward £1 million to look at how that can be developed with a number of start-up businesses. And there's also a whole range of different ones as well. But we list them on the site as a matter of course. We want to get as much information to small businesses as we possibly can. What we don't say is this isn't MENTA funding by any means, this is national funding. So if you want to go to the website, look at what's on offer, by all means have a look. If you need any advice and support as to what you may want to put in there, give us a call. Not a problem.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming in. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and thanks very much for your help.
Super, thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.